All right, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Round of 32 is underway and nearing the end of game 17. Eight additional games here in the round of 32. Bill Williams Jr. with Jason Thomas. Live here on Extra Frame from South Point Bowling Plaza. Shayna Ung came into this morning's competition in the lead at plus 440. She led after round one into the first 8 games of qualifying on Friday. Diana Zavjalova used a block of 1848. Went plus 248 in the back half. Last night's competition to move into second at plus 419. In the top 12 will move on after an additional 8 games this morning. Good shot there from Brenda Padilla. Be sure to check out PWBA.com for all of your updated results, qualifying results, which I'm sure you guys are aware of at this point. To our immediate left there, Joey Yo, Daphne Tan, and Bernie Salim. Team Singapore on 21 and 22. They bowl well as a group and have a couple players, of course, those 3. Geraldine Ung is also in the top 32, not to mention, obviously, Shayna Ung. Kelly Kulik, Daria Kovalova. Compared to our right on 25 and 26. You'll see a difficult spare conversion attempt there from Kelly. Open in the 10th for 215. Sarah Germano now joining this season, coming out and making the round of 32 and getting off to a great start here. And she'll be in the 240s. Couple videos up on the PWBA social media, Facebook, and this morning with Twitter. Talking about Diana Z's round 2. Of course, leading into this morning's competition, 243 for Sarah Germano. Brenda Padilla on a three-bagger, first one in the 10th. Brenda bowling very well. Again, a very good week for the Edwards family. Of course, formerly Brenda Edwards. Husband Stephen and daughter are here with her this week. They're watching their sister be inducted to the USBC Hall of Fame. And a bucket there. Second shot in the 10th, Cassandra Luthold from a Nebraska standout. Good shot, 4-pin. Uh-oh. All right. 223 for Brenda. Other scores, 233 from Joey Yo, 199 for Daphne Tan, 194 for Bernice Lim. Summer Jasmine, 180. Tania Moore, 219. Rocio Restrepo finishing up in the 10th frame. Final shot coming up for Cassandra Luthold. Kayla Bandy is in the 10th frame on a three-bagger as well. Shannon O'Keefe off to a good start, 248. Liz Johnson, 237. Your leader, Shayna Ung, adding to her lead on the fresh year, 246. Now on to game number 18. Should be a relatively quick round considering top 32 players are here. Most pairs have 3 on a pair, of course. There is one with 2. But it's early. It's got that feel. It's everyone trying to figure some things out. It's some players not wasting any time. It's that awkward silence. People still ingesting their coffee this morning. No awkward silence from the gentleman to my left.
It's not awkward, it's just silence. It's very purposeful.
Sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And we are in our round of 32. Game 1 in the books. Should be pretty fast and furious today, Mr. Williams.
Indeed. Talked about how many. Obviously 32, how many on a pair, so it should go by relatively quickly. Still 8 games, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of games to be able to get yourself into position. Anybody from the top 32 you could expect to possibly see in the round of 12 later this afternoon. I mean, we saw a bunch of players yesterday make rapid moves either in the first or second block. Diana Z had a really slow start yesterday and ended up getting all the way up to second. Had one 300 game yesterday. And that was Megan Kelly. She didn't make the cut, but she did bowl the first 300 game of the new season, and we've got a highlight of that. So let's take a look at that, and then we'll rejoin the action. Or maybe not. We'll show that to you guys later. All right, we've got the problem worked out. Let's check out that clip of Megan Kelly and her 300 game from yesterday. Very cool. So even though Megan was minus 92 at the time, that 300 game got her back to plus and earned her a PWBA 300 ring.
It's a good way to again kick off the season. Even though, as you mentioned, Certainly would love to be bowling right now, but she's got the honor having the first 300 game of 2018. Good bowling, Megan. Second game of the day. Josie Barnes, Verity Crawley, Danielle McEwen. Nina Flack, Kayla Bandy, Geraldine Ung on 25 and 26. Daria Payuk, Maria Jose Rodriguez, Karen Marcano on 21 and 22. Of course, with just 32 players remaining, other half of the Plaza is silent. I think even at this point, obviously it's great for the top 32 players who are bowling currently. At the very least, they've gotten off their seasons with some cash. I think even for some who ended up outside of the cash number, depending on what happened, but I would say for some, it was an opportunity to, especially rookies, for example, to really check out where they are, what they need to work on after one event. So a couple players in that category just outside the cut line this week. Some second-year players just missing the cut today, or yesterday, excuse me. So certainly some good building blocks and some lessons to be learned, obviously. Of course, we'd much prefer to be bowling, but got to take the steps. And as the Philadelphia 76ers have learned, to trust the process. I'm going to take that into consideration myself. Trust the process.
Me too. Give you another look at our pair next door.
Karen Marcano had great work last night in round 2, but toward the end of round 1, we started to see her really start to make some moves, bowling very well. I remember a distinct game. I don't remember exactly which one, but it was around this vicinity of the building, and she was making some things happen, playing in an area where not really covering a lot. She was playing pretty direct still. Round 2, and now I got a 4-bagger. Strike 6-pair 4-bagger. Maria Jose Rodriguez, we talked about how consistent she's been throughout the last few seasons, especially last season.
Whoops.
Yep.
Oh, little baby split, the old 1-4.
Yeah, that's bad juju there for me. But plus 349 after 17 games.
Yeah, she's in good shape.
Leanne Holstenberg shot 290 last night, and at one point she was in the lead after her 290 game. She's at it again. Spare 5-bagger for the Hall of Famer.
She also bought me breakfast and coffee this morning.
How about that? Full disclosure. You can't say anything about Leanne today then.
No. Ever, maybe.
Nice spare there for Maria. That is a very expected gesture from Leanne.
Yes.
Such a very nice individual. That's good because that means JT will then pay it forward.
That's right, and you're hoping to be the recipient.
Is that
what we're getting at there? Very, very well could be.
Just a quick look ahead to next week's event. Of course, we've got plenty to decide today, certainly. But we will be at Double Decker Lanes in Rohnert Park, California, May 3rd through the 5th. Beautiful Sonoma County. If you are near the area, near the San Francisco area, first of all, always a great place to visit because of San Francisco, the Bay Area. If you have time, of course, and many of the ladies do that. Some may head over probably after this event. We saw a lot of social media. Last year, the tour started in Sonoma. And so a lot of the players got there very early, a couple days early, take in all the sights, do a little sightseeing, visit some places, the Full House, etc.
Yeah, it's a great place. I lived there for a few years, and it's actually where my wife and I got together. So a lot of great memories of the area. And my wife would like to retire there one day, but
me too.
It's tough with
yeah,
you know, you gotta make some money.
Might need a couple more gigs.
Yeah, that's right.
You're a smart guy though, JT.
Oh, well, not that smart.
But it is a fantastic place. So if you are in the area, be sure to check us out. If you are not in the area, certainly we'll be live on Extra Frame with our stepladder finals. Same format this week, standard event. 2 blocks of qualifying on Friday. Of course, the official practice session on Thursday afternoon. Round of 32, round of 12, and stepladder finals on Saturday. That would be May 5th.
Oh, man. Whiff on the 10 pin there.
Yeah, rare miscue there for Miss Crawley. Got the front 8 on lane 7. Daphne Tan. Five of the 9 players entered from Team Singapore made the cut. And make it 9 in a row now for Daphne Tan.
And Leanne Holzenberg, spare 7-bagger this game.
I said yesterday that I do think Leanne has at least one title left to earn and to win on the PWBA tour. Not that she's done bowling by any means, because to me, you watch her, you watch Kelly, you watch Liz. You still see plenty of opportunity for those players to continue to make their mark.
Yeah, I mean, you could really compare Leanne to someone like a Tiger Woods, you know, who had health issues for a number of years, but you know when those players come back and they're healthy. I think Leanne had some health issues. You know, she had a hip issue. If she can just stay healthy for a full tournament, she knows how to win. So once she'll be in that position again, she could get it done. I mean, you saw her win the U.S. Open a few years back, U.S. Women's Open. So absolutely, if she gets herself into contention, I could very easily see her adding to her career total for titles. And she's just a couple back of Lisa Wagner for the all-time record. She, I believe, 4 back?
6.
6 back. Yeah, Lisa Wagner has 32. And Leanne, 26.
She's got 27 kind of overall, which includes the 2011
U.S. Women's Open. Right.
Got the 26 official WBA titles as Daphne Tan stepping up on lane 7. I see a pin. Maybe a 7-pin, maybe a 4-pin.
Yeah, and there's a 9 on the scoreboard. So her run is over, but still can shoot a big game. Still can shoot 279. Going into this game, our cut score after 17, Karen Marcano in 12th place at plus 272.
You know, the round of 12 each week won't be an easy task, and obviously I'm not saying anything that's new. But if you just look at today, and each week will be different because there'll be different challenges that will pop up, mainly, of course, the lane pattern, and then other things that the players will go through on their own to make the best shots possible. But, you know, week 1, top 32, pretty good field that has developed here. And you would expect that each and every week with a few different names, some new ones, some familiar ones, some non-familiar ones, and it'll be a nice mix, I think, of course, here in 2018. This could be the year that, as we mentioned earlier, or yesterday, Caleb Bandy kind of breaks through as well. We'll keep an eye out for the players who may have the quote-unquote slow start. .278 for Daphne Tan, plus 310.
Yeah, and that was a big game there from Daria Payuk, who needed it. She was 81 pins back of the number, and that's going to move her a lot closer. Verity, rough finish to her game after going spare turkey. She ends up shooting 179. Big fours there in the 10th, and that's going to cost her quite a few pins. Had a chance there to punch for 220, and he's going to end up turning it into a low 190. Ouch. So that'll do it for game 18.
2 down. Nobody on.
There's a lot on. 32 on. So one of our leaders from yesterday, Diana Z, had taken the lead for a short moment.
You called it. I'll give you the credit. At least it was for a game or 2.
And we did an interesting interview with her yesterday, where she talked about how she was really the only player in the field who was doing what she was doing. And we're going to play that interview for you now while we wait for the players to move on to our featured pairs. And here is that interview right now.
I did something that nobody in the building was able to do for some reason, and I'm actually not sure why. But most of the girls were playing out, and I was just slow wheeling the ball. and my balls they just looked amazing. Like my ball came back if I missed right, it held if I missed left. So the two balls that I used, the Game Breaker 3 and the Phenom, they just looked amazing. And I actually wasn't trying to throw it slow, but I was just being soft, and it just kind of happened to be slow, and it just worked for me. I actually started the day with a 230, which was pretty decent, and then I think I shot 180, 160, and then I was kind of fishing with different bowling balls, and I think it was just I was choosing the wrong ones at the wrong time. So I was just trying to find something, and then like game 5, I took the good old Phenom that I used the entire last season, and I shot I think 275 and whatever, I don't even remember because I'm so tired now, but and just rolled amazing. And then had lunch, got some rest, and I came back and just did what I did at the end of the first block, and it was amazing. Like I had the world. I always keep in mind what I did before. Like today, I kept in mind what I saw in a practice session. Obviously, it's different every single day a little bit. I'm actually drilling another Game Breaker 3. So I have like the same look, but just slightly a little different. So just kind of walk in open-minded. It's a lot of games left still. Obviously, my goal is to make the top 4 and win the tournament, but we still have plenty of games left. So I'm trying not to think ahead. Just gonna come in the morning and just stay present and just see what's in front of me.
Just give me one key for tomorrow.
Patience.
And welcome back to the South Point Bowling Plaza. You're watching live coverage Bowl TV on Extra Frame of the PWBA Las Vegas Open. We're about to commence game 19. We're in our round of 32. And 2 games into this 8-game block. Scores pretty high this morning. Cut number after the first game this morning got up to plus 272. And players looking to make it into that top 12, which will take place at 1 p.m. Pacific time. We'll have coverage of that, of course, on Extra Frame. And then our stepladder finals will take place at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Crown our first champion of the 2018 PWBA season. And looks like got some action. Shannon Plahowski, one of 2 lefties who made it to our top 32, cashing this week. Sherry Tan, the other lefty. And both are well behind the number after 2 games this morning. Plahowski at plus 157, Sherry at plus 121. Oh. Wow. She lost her footing. It looks like she's okay. But just looked like she slipped. And Brianna looks like she slipped as well. So both players feeling out the approaches.
Approach check is important.
That's interesting. See what happens here after the foul. It's better. Nice spare, Liz. And our other featured pair. Hated it. Not me, her.
Oh, man. I love Shannon. Just goes to show how really incredible she is. Yeah, honestly, because, you know, her reactions aren't telling the whole story, certainly, but we know that 80% of the population would take the shots that she doesn't like, or at least thinks that, you know, looks like that she doesn't like.
Yeah, I'm probably higher than 80. She's a perfectionist, that's for sure.
Nothing wrong with that. I'm going to put myself in that category. It can be detrimental for me.
Well, you know, you got to wonder, you know, obviously she's had some struggles on TV, and you wonder if maybe that's part of the reason. Maybe she's just a little too hard on herself, and the added pressure of TV compounds that. And she, you know, she's one of those players that never had an opportunity to bowl on tour. She made a lot of TV shows and majors. But it never became kind of a regular thing for her. So it'll just be interesting to see. I'm sure she'll figure out how to break through on television. I would think that would be happening soon. But a lot of great players on the PBA tour had some rough spells in their career on television, and then they were able to figure it out. A lot of people don't realize Norm Duke went 9 years without a title. After his first title, and a lot of shows. And then once he figured it out, he took home quite a few titles. 3 dozen.
That's pretty good. Not donuts.
That was almost acceptable, I think, for Shannon there.
Going back to our combo earlier yesterday with the rate cards, the gymnastics scoring.
Oh right, yeah, that was about a 9.92, I think, on the Shannon scale. That was a 10.
Yeah, that was solid there. Stuck the landing.
So game 3, this is kind of where we saw some transition. Some of the players that were out had to jump in.
A little less traffic today, obviously. And perhaps some different moves based on rounds 1 and 2. Perhaps some different pieces of equipment, more or less surface, so a lot of variables that could be in play.
It seemed like yesterday the players who started out, which there were quite a few of them, they couldn't just keep creeping left. Once they started to see early hook in the front part of the lane, they couldn't just move 3 and 1 or 2 and 1. They had to make a big jump left of the track. And the ones who didn't got trapped in the middle and really struggled for a couple of games until they got far enough left. So I'm not sure why that's the case. It has to be the way the pattern plays, because the surface here is so new. The track's not really worn in, and it's one of the flattest surfaces you'll ever see. Greg Moore and his team was here when this facility was built, and I know prior to the U.S. Open that was held here, leveling the lanes. So they're about as flat as lanes get. And there hasn't been a lot of traffic on these lanes because they're fairly new. So it has to be a characteristic of the pattern, which is a 41-foot, 29.5 mil, same pattern that was used for the 2017 Open Championships doubles and singles event. And it shows you how good these players. I mean, these players are crushing this pattern. It's going to take about a 220 average to make the cut, which isn't ridiculous. It could, if we put a league shot out, it'd be 240.
Sure.
But the leaders are averaging almost 240 on this pattern, and I bowled on this pattern at the Open Championships, and I didn't average 240 on it. It seemed pretty tough to me.
Rodriguez now with a 3-bagger after starting with strike spare.
This Culkin, her physical game looks very sharp. She had a couple issues the last few years with her swing alignment. And looks like those issues are ironed out. She's posting shots and made an equipment change in the off season. Looks like she's comfortable with that, and she looks really sharp here to start the season. She's just under the number for our top 12.
Well, there's no question about it. Liz can play. Already a champion. I think it took place in 2015. And, something we've touched on, just people don't see your name, don't see you in the finals, that kind of thing. They tend to forget, overlook.
There's our number, plus 301, Verity Crawley. Through 18 games, leader plus 486. Shayna Ung, and that's a 225 average, which isn't 240. So I misspoke there a little bit. 227 average. But there are your leaders. Pretty good top 4 if it ended right now.
Yeah, that would be. We got some interesting top 4s. This is going to be a lot of variety, I think, on a weekly basis within the top 4.
Yeah, and I'm also interested with the pattern scorecard that Nick Hoagland placed out to see all the different ways that the lanes play and who's able to figure them out. And week to week, I think there's always a mix of the great players who make it no matter what you put out, and then there's some players whose game favors the conditions for the week, and you see them make a run at it. And sometimes those players, are the types of players who really take advantage of it when they see what they like, and sometimes they don't. But I think every week you have a mix of the great players and the players who just kind of like what they see, and it'll be interesting to see on the patterns that Nick has put together for the season, how that all plays out. Nice shot there from Brianna Cote. And she's currently inside the cut line, but not by much. She's fighting to stay alive.
I know Bree's made some changes. She's got new equipment this year, but remember last season, mid to late last season, she ended up dropping down in ball weights from 15 to 14. I was looking for just a little bit different shape and saw that 14-pound actually kind of made the corner for her a little bit better. And she started to have some success towards the end of the season. She worked hard in the offseason to get prepared for Team USA trials, which she did very well at. Battled an injury or two prior to the tour starting. And still off to a very good start here.
Nice shot there from O'Keefe.
It's weird to think there's only so many weeks, obviously, in the season. It's going to go by pretty quickly. But, there's only 14 titles available.
Yeah, it's hard to win. There's, like you said, not that many opportunities, and there's a lot of great players you have to beat every week.
Guinea Wegner, plus 224. Was nowhere near bowling well through about 5 games.
Yeah.
in round 1.
She's just chipping her way back into it. She can spare this and go off the sheet. That would be 258. And that's within striking distance. That's a, you say yesterday, a 1 possession game?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, she was in single-digit numbers for a while. And was on the other side of plus. But, yeah, I knew she would make a run because she is one of the best players in the world currently.
Over to Liz Culkin, and she slaps the 10 out. Gives it a fist. Nice.
I liked it.
That was big.
Could just be me, but yeah, she just seems like just so soft off her hand. Not doing too much. Just
yeah, nice quick release.
Danielle McEwen 2 shots away from 290 on lane 6. Or 5 at the moment.
Yeah, that'll be huge for her. She's right around the cut line, plus 298. Just 3 pins back of it. And Verity, who was the cut line, had 4 opens in the first 5 frames, but has followed it up with a 4-bagger, so she can still bail out 2-0. But Danielle will definitely go around her. I'll tell you, when it gets down to these top players and there's a cut, it's like a game. I don't know if you guys watching have ever played the game Mario Kart, but it's just like Mario Kart. It's you're getting a shell thrown at you, and your car goes off to the side of the road, and then you're trying to get it back going again, and then you get it back going, and you start passing people, and it's crazy.
Nice analogy.
Yeah. It's really a race.
Daria Payuk put together a couple good games here. That's a couple hiccups in frames 3 and 4, 277. Danielle McEwen, 212. Payuk. As Culkin gets a nice little break. She started this game with foul spare. There's some trouble on the approach.
Yeah, but bounced back nicely. She's going to be in the 240s with 1 more strike. Nice shot there from O'Keefe. Move over, watch Liz. Oh, no fist, but she's happy. I think she got away with that one. That was in, and it laid off. So it's a neat pattern. You can play a lot of different zones on it. I really like patterns that allow you to play multiple angles. Getting a look at a different piece of equipment, and that one looked pretty good as well. So great game for Liz Culkin after that rough start. 248. And that should move her in the cut line. Brianna gave the split a run, but not able to convert, and she ends up shooting 196. She was 8 pins ahead of the number going into this game, so she should be around or maybe just out now. Erin McCarthy with an open frame in the 10th. And I think we talked about that yesterday. Nothing the players hate more than not finishing the game off with a couple of strikes in the 10th. Other than missing a single pin, I think that's the most frustrating thing for a pro. Because you feel like by that point in the game, you should have the pair figured out, and you want to close that game out with some strikes. And Erin made a bad shot there and turned 240 into 2-0. Let's get a look at the down lane there. See the back end motion there for Shannon O'Keefe, and that shot was perfect.
The old 8-9 split. Wow.
Was that the same shot? Did we just do a replay?
As Aaron Smith would say, making copies.
But here, okay, so we just talked about the 10th frame, right? Finishing in the 10th frame. Erin McCarthy, she strikes out in the 10th, and she's in the 240s, right? She opens, and O'Keefe, who was on a 2-0 pace, finishes this game off with a double. She shoots 223. Erin McCarthy just lost 16 pins to Shannon. She was probably expecting to pick up 30 on Shannon and passing her up, and instead now she lost ground. So it's just, man, it just burns you when you make a mistake like that. Whoa.
Nice game. Back 5, 223. Scores continue to be very nice here, round of 32. Again, total pins, even as we cut to the top 12 in just a few games. Look at the leaderboard after 14, or excuse me, 18. Sandra Luto and Shayna Ung to finish out game here. Luto strikes on her fill. It's 222. Shayna Ung goes 9 spare. And Shayna just won 2 strikes in this game. It's going to be in the 170s. And going to give a few pins back.
Mario Kart. Someone dropped one of those winged shells on her head.
Yes, 175 in the form. That last shot, though, the field was very good. So, again, didn't see any of that game up until really that last shot. And perhaps a ball change to try there. But, 25 back, not too much, especially considering the position that she is in.
Well, she said yesterday she didn't really love the fresh. She got most of her pins late in the block. And like you said, with less traffic, it's going to take a little longer for the lanes to get to where she likes them. Although she had a much better start, I think, this morning. Yeah, than she did yesterday. To see if players have approach issues on 23 and 24.
It's Kelly Kulik.
Bang.
Have you seen Kelly throw a couple balls here today?
Yeah, she's got some ground to make up. She's plus 248.
When I meant mole balls, I'm talking, I've seen her at least throw 3 different pieces of equipment through the first few games. Nice spare there from Zavjalova. Well, she hadn't had to shoot many splits, especially yesterday.
Yeah, especially round 2. When she figured out she could start in and slow hook it, it was off to the races. Whoops. Runaway Brooklyn.
Well, JT, we are. What game is this?
This is game 20.
Game 20. Through 19 games. Give me your. This is a tough question, but your quote unquote look ahead, if you will. We can keep it light the first couple of events, but I think we've seen a lot of great stuff through these first 19 games. And even from those who are not in the round of 32, because we saw a lot of talented players during qualifying who certainly could make their presence known as the season rolls on. Your initial thoughts so far on our talent base, and obviously we know what it's going to take to win the title each week in 2018.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, it's the great players are still great. They're all there. We have a great leaderboard this week. It seems like a lot of the top players came into the season very sharp. Liz Johnson's still Liz Johnson.
There is one thing that's not going to change. Period.
Yeah, and I think the hard part for her this week is over, where she had to bowl those burn squads. They weren't burn squads; they were just So I think it's just going to get better for her because they're going to get tighter and tighter and fresher and fresher. I would be shocked if we didn't see her in the stepladder. I think Diana Z is going to get there. I think she's doing something that's unique. So I think we'll see her. Shayna, I'm not quite sure. I think she's going to get there. But we'll see how she does on the fresh next block. She looks like she's struggling quite a bit right now, even though she's got a turkey. 2 of them were Brooklyn's. And she came off shooting 170. But I think Shannon O'Keefe will probably get there. I think they're going to just keep getting better for her. And Leanne Holzenberg, who's right there, she can kind of do the same thing that Diana's doing. So I think those are your group that have the inside track right now on getting to the stepladder later today. One thing that's different this year, you can't quite make up ground as quickly because you don't have match play bonus pins to help you. But they do have more games. So this round last year used to be 6 games. And 6 games is really hard to go from 32nd to 12th. But 8 games you can get there. And then this afternoon's round will be 6 games. But presumably, I believe in 6 games you could go from 12th to 4th. But you don't have bonus pins to help you.
Right.
You've got to shoot big scores.
You see, I know you are from Southern California. Leanne is from Northern California. But I imagine that your paths crossed several times.
I mean, when I lived in Northern California, I used to run into her all the time. I ran into her at Blockbuster.
Wow.
Starbucks.
That was my spot. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. No, I mean, I used to see her all the time. We lived in the same town in Northern California when I lived there. So, yeah, I did. When I was in Southern, not so much because she was on tour at that time.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you
I wasn't a woman.
at a bowling event somewhere.
You know, we used to have a PCB WWPB doubles tournament that I won one year with Kim Benavidez, and she bowled that event. So I would see her periodically, but I didn't really bowl that long. I only bowled regionals for 1 year.
Okay.
And bowled PCBs for a couple of years. So yeah, our paths didn't cross too often, other than Blockbuster and Starbucks.
Blockbuster. I did really enjoy Blockbuster.
Yeah, it was fun. I guess and Netflix isn't the same.
Yeah. There was nothing like going to Blockbuster. It was like the highlight of, one of the highlights of a Friday, right? You get out of school.
Yeah.
You've read all your books for the week, so perhaps Pizza Hut, you're in the book club. Book it.
Yeah.
Get your personal pan pizza. Your parents say, okay, you can pick a movie tonight.
Or a video game.
Or a video game.
Yeah.
And I was sad. Although I've never picked a movie. I went and always rented every single Thundercats video I could find. Every one. I would get upset after I've seen them all.
It's before they called it binge watching, right?
Yes. That's just a little sneak peek into what happened at the Williams household as a young tyke.
Daria Kovalova, she's making a run here. Strike, spare, five-bagger. And
Inching closer.
She is.
She can play too. I mean, it's again those comments kind of go without saying, but Daria Kovalova, probably someone that many have heard of, most maybe have not. Maybe have heard the name. Oh man, what school did she go to? Oh, she was great in college. Yes, she was. And so, trying to again, have that translate at the professional level.
Yeah, went to a school people may have heard of.
Wow. Wow, Sherry Tan. Oh, wow. I don't even know what
fast
pin
8.
that was. I think it was the 7, or excuse me, the 10.
But yeah, Daria, I think her and Sydney, there's no doubt they have the talent to compete out here. They just need to have a few good weeks so they believe it. I'm sure Sydney making Team USA probably helped her confidence quite a bit, and getting to hang out with Kelly and Shannon O'Keefe and Shannon Plahowski and some of those players. Obviously, Liz retired now from Team USA, so I think that adds to Liz Johnson's aura a little bit. She's kind of above it all now. I remember one year when they had the Golf Ryder Cup team, and there was a guy who made the team and was excited because he was going to get to meet Tiger Woods. I mean, the guy who played on tour, he was the top 20 player, and he'd never met Tiger Woods. Never met him.
Wow.
And, Liz kind of has that aura now. She doesn't bowl Team USA anymore, so the young kids that are making the team don't get to hang out with her and get to know her and get comfortable with her. And then she comes out on tour and just smashes everybody's face in, and then she goes home. And then in the off season, she's winning PBA events.
Yeah, that's a pretty good, pretty cool life, I would say.
Yeah. But I think it adds to her aura of invincibility.
Yeah, talking to her, leading up to the season, and just some of the things that not necessarily changing, but just it gets a little harder to leave home. To hop on the road. But when she's out here, once she hits the door, that's it. It's time.
Yeah, and she's very businesslike. I mean, she's great. She's good with the fans. She signs every autograph. But as soon as she's done, she's out. She's back resting, getting ready, prepping for the next round of competition. And it's just a very business-like approach.
Maybe some Starbucks, hit the gym a little bit.
Yeah, but she's not out sightseeing, and she's already seen everything. It's just like, I'm here to do my work. And
it's a business trip.
Yeah.
Had some strings early. But, Summer Jasmine had the front 7 on lane 16. She has left something. 9 count in the 8th frame. Tania Moore had the front 7 as well.
Well, I think that's Jason McEwen's fault. I saw him come up and grab the camera.
Come on, J-Mac. Kelly Kulik. Rebacker, 9 spare strike. 9 spare strike. Looking for something. Leanne Holsenberg looking for a break. Being able to get the 10 out. Just the 7 remains for Leanne. Here is Kelly. Good shot there from Kulik. It's funny, Diana said that she wasn't trying to throw it slow. She's trying to be soft, but the byproduct of that was a slower ball speed, which it all ended up working for her.
Yeah, just a lot of axis rotation, and she's getting the ball to just push very cleanly through the front, so it's not reading anything, and then it just makes kind of a sharp move on the back, and the carry's pretty good. Every now and then she'll get one right, and it'll burn up in flat 10, an occasional ring 10, but the shaker hit's carrying, the trip 4 is carrying, the flush hits are carrying. And she's got a huge amount of margin for error. It was interesting when we brought Jason Belmonte in for the Journey to 900 episode that he was on. We asked him, why do you think you've been so successful on tour? And he said, one of the main things is his A game is to get left of everybody and really hook the ball. And he said that's when he makes his best shots, the quality of shots. And he's able to do that because everybody makes them easier for him. They play to the right, he gets to the left, he uses their traffic to as recovery when he misses right, and he's making his best shots. So I think that's what Diana's doing right now. She's starting left of everybody. Everybody else just makes the lanes easier for her. And I think she's very, very comfortable repeating shots that way. And I think once she saw yesterday early in the block that she could start that far left and still have some room, it was kind of off to the races.
Absolutely. In other situations and, on different conditions, whatever the case may be, sometimes that's not always the best move to get left so early, but that obviously not the case yesterday. And so you're right. I mean, you see it. She was able to see it instantly. So
yeah,
okay.
It is unusual. Yeah, normally you do have to wait a little bit before you can jump in. But that ball makes it all the way back. And she leaves a 10-pin, but that's about all she's leaving. Maybe 2-3 10-pins a game and rest strikes. And you shoot 220, 230, 240. Stress-free. She started with a split this game. I think this pair might be hooking a little more where she's playing the lanes. She makes the split and then makes the move, and she hasn't missed the pocket the rest of the game. Liz Johnson there on lane 25. That was a 4-bagger, so she's got a possible 258. And she could jump into the lead. Diana Z is at plus 480. Liz plus 471. Shayna plus 461. And then Leanne Holsenberg, who is also on that pair with Liz, is plus 463. And Liz shooting the biggest game of the group. Shannon O'Keefe shot 247 this game, so she might be moving herself a little bit closer to the number for the top 4. She was currently 5th at plus 400. 12th place, Brianna Cote is at plus 309. Daria Kovalova finished with an open frame in the 10th and shoots 227. So remember we talked about that last game. She could have shot 250 there and got herself more safely in the number. Instead opens in the 10th and still going to be hugging the cut line. That was ace right there for Diana.
Is today Saturday?
It sure is.
It is. Already reached that point of, I know we get in Wednesday, I leave Sunday. That's the only 2 days I begin to know at this point of the year.
So it looks like if Diana misses right, at least on this pair, she flat tens. If she doesn't, she strikes. Liz Johnson with an open frame in the ninth, so not so fast on taking the lead.
Went up 4-6-7 on lane 26. So Tina Williams. Stu in attendance. Tina, former All-American at West Texas A&M.
.218 for Diana. That gets her to plus 498. Liz Johnson can shoot .223, so best she can get to is plus 494. And Shayna can still shoot .234, so Diana's still going to be in the lead. But it's going to be awfully close at the top. Top four will be within 20 pins of each other. And Shannon O'Keefe, with her big .247, move within 50 of the lead. So Shayna Ung finishes with .220, and nice score for her. And had a chance yesterday, Jason McEwen, to go out and shoot some video of slow motion releases of some of the top players on tour. We'll watch that now while we wait for the players to come in for game 21. And we're back. That was good stuff, but that does verify that Jason McEwen is the Black Cloud. 2 stone 8s and a blower 710 in that highlight package.
He hasn't had a good run. Not off to a good start here in the 2018 tour season.
But very cool to see just the different releases that you could see the angles. That was the cool thing. Jen Higgins, almost no angle. I mean, she was
still left me.
And the other thing that was really interesting watching that was the position of the pivot step to the slide. It's on the same board if you're one of the top level players. But it's interesting to watch how that back leg, the pivot leg, as they drive into the slide, kind of collapses in and makes room for the swing to come right under the head. It's kind of looks almost like an unnatural position to get your body in, but
you should see it. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, all the top players do it.
You should see it, and you've probably seen it, but in stills in that particular position where your back leg doesn't look like it should be.
Yeah, in that
position.
Yeah, it doesn't go that way.
Yeah, I remember I had a teammate whose leg just looked like it was hanging.
With Paul George.
Yeah, and that was
It's like it has a third joint.
Yeah, it was so odd.
But very cool to watch. Jason's done a great job this week with the video. PWBA has never looked so good. And you look pretty nice in that new show that we're doing on the road.
Thanks to Jason.
Started this week, first episode, and we'll be doing one every week from each of the stops. And if you happen to be in town, hope you come out and check it out. Make it into college game day type situation.
Yeah, that would be great. The cool thing about it, and it's not really a scary thing, it could be, but we know it won't look the same from a location perspective weekly.
Right.
And that's kind of part of the ambiance,
yeah,
if you will.
Part of the charm. Absolutely. But that's what happens when you go on the road, right? Nice shot there from Tania Moore. She's fighting to make it into the top 12. She's got some work to do, but off to a good start here in game 21. Just 3 games to go after this game. So we're halfway, just past halfway through our block today. And then after this block, we will cut to the top 12. And those 12 will bowl 6 more at 1 p.m. And that will give us our top 4 for our first stepladder finals of the 2018 PWBA season. First look at Rocio Restrepo. And she's going to take a quick break. She's plus 205. So long way to go for her if she wants to get herself into the top 12. She's going to need a big finish. Probably will need 1,000 or better for this last 4 games to give herself a chance. But the good news is it's out there. We've seen some big scores. And Rocio getting up and trying to start this game off with the turkey. Nice light mixer. So first look at Kayla Bandy, sparing up the 10-pin. She's right around the cut line at plus 332. Nina Flack, who we watched come home yesterday, had a nice clutch performance coming down the stretch to hang on and make it into the cut and get herself a check for the week. And here is Nina. Slaps the 10 out. Summer Jasmine doing something that her A game a little bit more left to right, and she's showing her versatility going up the lane. Geraldine Ung having a little bit of a rough day today, but bowled very well yesterday, making it into our top 32. Rocio Restrepo, 3 PWBA titles for her. She won the opening event of the season last year. And her titles have come in some very difficult conditions. Won the St. Petersburg Open a few years back in the lowest scoring title match ever in the PWBA Tour. And last year's event where she won was conducted on a flat oil pattern, so
Rough.
yeah, that was a grind, and but she's definitely mentally tough. Doesn't mind difficult conditions. I think she was a little disappointed with her season last year.
I would agree.
Yeah,
It started off so well.
yeah.
She made the first 2.
Yeah, she made the first 2 shows. And she'd come off a season where she was runner-up for Player of the Year to Liz Johnson. And the season before that, she was, I believe, 6th in points for the year. So I think she probably felt like, you know what, this might be my season. And then hit a little bit of a roadblock. Still had a good season. Won that title in Sonoma. Top 10 in points. Made it to the Tour Championship. But I'm sure looking for bigger and better things. Probably feels like this year maybe would like to get her first major title and give a run to that Player of the Year once again. She's one of those players that's at it full time. In the off season, she's hitting the gym every day. She's bowling as many tournaments as she can to stay sharp. Still competes for Team Columbia. So one of the true pros out here on tour.
And Ro is, everyone works on different things when they're at the gym, but she is about putting on, muscle, getting stronger, and even in the past she said that I don't know if it was last year, maybe 2 years ago, but she thought at one point she had to dial it back down, ever so slightly. Didn't want to increase any injury risk, and I think she was kind of getting to a point where she wasn't feeling the same on the lanes, and for what she was, some of the success she was having in the gym was actually counteracting, and in a very odd way, of course. But
well, she's got such a small frame, and she's got tremendous leg strength, and that's a big thing for bowling. It's much more important that you have strong legs than a strong upper body, because gravity is really what allows the ball to swing. So Mark Baker has a funny test. He said, all great bowlers have skinny forearms, and the reason is because they're not using their upper body to throw the ball. They're using all legs and just letting the ball swing. So anyway, to go back to Rocio, definitely somebody who's maximized leg strength in the gym and uses gravity to its fullest potential. But you could see, if she got obsessed with upper body a little bit, maybe that wouldn't be the best thing, because she's got such a loose, whippy arm swing.
which really is kind of one of her signatures.
And generates a lot of power for someone of her size, and trying to get back into the mix here.
Yeah, this will be a good game to do it. Such a good player. On her 2018 media bio that I sent, her hobbies: weightlifting and eating.
Was that a joke?
I think so.
That's funny.
The weightlifting part, seriously.
That's funny. I know she has other hobbies.
The weightlifting part is serious.
I think she might be trying to send a message to the other players that she ain't messing around. My hobby is to get better at my profession.
She is, if you follow her on social media, though, she is generally describing or letting, the public into a workout of hers.
Yeah.
She also, and I'm sure she knows, because her favorite movie is any Marvel movie. And so I'm sure she hadn't seen it already, but she's ready for Infinity War.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
I don't want to risk offending my family by seeing it without them. But luckily, we haven't had any time to slip out and see it. So
I'll try to get Tuesday's my goal.
Okay.
All right, Estrepo front 6.
That's
pretty
nice.
good.
Wow. Man. Maybe we should watch more bowling. Not able to tell anymore if that was a good shot or not.
Yeah.
It looked good, didn't it?
I thought it did. It might have been a hair in, and I'm talking about from where it started. Because it didn't get to the portion of the lane where, from on the
She
right
didn't miss
lane
right.
perspective. Right.
Yeah. Well, Nina
So-
Flack is our last hope at 300 on our featured pairs. And that was pretty good.
She's got 300 in PWBA competition. Shot one at the U.S. Women's Open in 2017.
And, man, she shoots 300. She's still not out of it. She's a long way back going into this game, but 300 gets you right back into things. And we do have a 20-game update. Kayla Bandy is currently the number at plus 332. Our leader, Diana Z, at plus 498. Liz Johnson in second at plus 483. Shayna Ung is in third at plus 481. Leanne Holsenberg holding down that final spot in the stepladder at plus 457. And just 10 pins back is Shannon O'Keefe. But a lot of players still with an opportunity to jump into the number. And currently 12th is only 125 pins back of the show. So that's doable in 6 games. Looks like Caleb Andy might be running into some transition. Last couple shots have hooked. Hooked a little too much. And Nina Flack crumbles the 7-10 for the front 8. And we'll jump back over to 23 and 24. See if Rocio Restrepo can finish off a big game here. Possible 278. That would get her close to a 1-possession game with 3 to go.
Who's watched Tania Falbo? Oh, excuse me, Tania Moore, formerly Tania Falbo. Her shot looked in the same vicinity as Rocio's shot on the left lane. Looked pretty good, and then leaves a kind of a 2-pin type combination.
That's odd. I mean, back in the day with urethane, you could expect something like that with a carry-down situation, but it's not something you see too often with these high oil-absorbing reactive bowling balls. Mid-game, all of a sudden, the ball goes light on apparently a good shot. It could have been, what was probably more likely is that players went high flush on the shot before, made a little move, and caught a little bit of a cliff. So that seems like it's more likely.
It's good analysis.
It's an educated guess.
Hypothesis?
Yes.
Shot there from Summer Jasmine.
Yep, she's been kind of fighting the pair all game, and it looks like she's got herself into the right place. She finally moved left and went to her A game, which is circling it left to right. And you could see her kind of nodding her head at her ball rep as she walked back. After that strike, she's still got a chance here. Can bail out 2-team this game. And that would put her within 40 of the number with 3 to go.
Left lane.
It's a little surprising. She might have been fooled by that last read and didn't make an adjustment on that shot and pays the price. As soon as Tania Moore throws this shot here on 24, we'll jump over to Nina Flack, who's about to go for the front 9. Oh, man. Good shot.
Come on.
She did everything except knock it over.
Come on, Dime. That 10 out. Well, we talked about her last night. Actually, the last time we saw Nina was a very professional game bowled, which we didn't know the number at the time or what it could be. Had an idea, but she did enough. A clean game. Struck on the fill to ensure a spot. Ultimately, is what happened there. And she ended up, I think, 5 or 6 spots ahead of the number. But, you know, again, one shot away from being out of the cut, period.
Right. Well, it turned out we weren't accurate with our numbers because
Sure.
we didn't have the update. But, you know, I think the players did know, and the reps definitely knew, hey, you need to get above Daria. And it was fun to watch her work her way to it. Summer Jasmine left to right, and that lane hanging a little bit, but she gets just enough of the head pin to carry a light shaker. And as I mentioned earlier, she can still shoot 2-teen. See if Nina Flack can finish this off with a couple strikes. And nope. Spare there, and she'll be in the 260s. Rocio, interesting move there in the ninth. She threw the count away. But she's not going to hit that lane again. So I'm not sure what maybe she was, I don't know. I don't know what the thought process was there, but I'm sure she had a reason. Maybe she felt like the lanes were playing similarly, and she felt like if she got a better read, she could make a better move and finish the game off with a turkey. That's about all I got from a logic standpoint.
It was a tough frame, either way.
Well, it's basically an impossible split. I mean, people argue with me all the time about, well, that was a big messenger.
Big shot there.
But people argue with me all the time about, I say the 2-8-10's tougher to make than the 7-10. And people argue with me on that. And if you go back over the history of the PBA on television, I believe the 2-8-10's been made fewer times than the 7-10. I think it's been made twice.
It's kind of a good standard, or, you know,
right,
starting point for that.
And the 7-10's been made 3 times. I've personally made the 7-10 more than 20 times.
Wow.
I've made
Look at this guy.
made the 2-8-10.
Just casually throw that out there.
I've made the 2-8-10 maybe 3 times. Nice little trip 4-9. I think it's in a lot of centers today. It's tougher to make than it was back when I was doing most of my bowling. I think they've made some modifications to pit curtains and things of that nature that have made it more difficult to bounce pins out. But I remember bowling with Robert Smith, and we would have contests that he would always win on who could bounce the pin back furthest out onto the lane. And we knew how to bounce the pin out. There was a way to do it. And Remember, we were bouncing it out and getting the pin halfway back, and he just got tired of it, and he threw one and bounced it all the way back onto the settee.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it?
Was that Del Rio Lanes?
When did that happen recently?
Oh yeah, it was on Extra Frame. Yeah,
Andrew Anderson?
I did. I saw that. Yeah.
At the was it a PTQ?
Well, Robert used to break. There's a little plastic ring on the bottom of the pins that they put to keep the integrity of the pin intact, and it fits around the wood block and then in between the plastic that goes over the cover. And he used to break those plastic rings off. So he'd throw it into the pit, and then it would come back out. And sometimes the ring would detach while the pin was coming back out on the lane, and sometimes the ring would already be gone.
Wow.
So I mean, that's you would just try to do. You'd try to break the pins.
I'd have to imagine that, some folks, the proprietor, she's just, stop letting you guys in the boat. You can't be messing up my pins daily.
But, they shouldn't be standing.
That's true. Fair enough.
Take your frustration out on those guys. So game 22 coming up. 3 more to go here in the morning. And we will have our top 12 for our 1 p.m. round of 12. 1 p.m. Pacific time. Ladies will practice 10 minutes prior. So be sure to join us back on Extra Frame for the round of 12. And then we'll take a short break, about an hour, and get right into our stepladder finals. First one of the season.
First one of the season. It's going to be a good one, no matter who's in it.
Well, yeah, we've got a great leaderboard right now already.
Yep.
And sorry for the zoom there. Forgot to switch cameras, but
whoops.
You got to see my camera work going there. But there's your leaderboard. Diana Z is your number 1 position right now. And Leanne Hulsenberg there in 4th. Shannon O'Keefe just outside the top 4. But I believe she'll have a few things to say about it before the day's done. Beautiful venue here. One of the best designs, if not the best design I've ever seen for a tournament venue. The genius of it is that it's back to back. So from any position in the building, you can see what's going on any pair. So it makes it very, very easy, especially when there's a lot of math involved at the end of a cut round.
Right.
And you're trying to figure out what's going on. You don't have to run up and down the concourse. You can just kind of look up at the board and see what everybody's doing. And as long as you can do some math in your head, you can figure it out. And we've got bowling. They just keep coming. Danielle McEwen trying to inch her way towards the top 4. She's currently plus 399. And I could see her getting there.
Well, not to count her out.
Well, she's one of those players that likes the fresh. That's her A game, and they're going to get freshier as the day goes on. If she can make it through these last 3 games with some good numbers, she's going to be one of the players that has a leg up, I think, for the last 6, because I think that fresh, that re-oil that we're going to do after this squad is going to help her. And it's going to help Liz Johnson. And not like they need any help. But yeah, if Danielle can get through this last 3 with 100 over added to her score, she'll be well positioned to make a run at the top 4 this afternoon. And Verity Crawley just had a great start yesterday and just kind of been stagnant the last two rounds.
She didn't get off to a good start in round 2. Able to bounce back, regain some pins, but never quite got back to the pace that she started on. Certainly in round 1. A lot of change since then, of course, in round 1. So long ago. Pattern now being put down for the 3rd time. At least in official competition.
Yeah, I haven't watched her closely enough, but my guess is that she kind of got it caught in between. She didn't jump left like Diana did, and she probably had some success early playing out because she can go up the lane. I mean, she can. Yeah, I mean,
very versatile.
Yeah, and she can play anywhere. And so I think she probably got a little fooled starting yesterday's block, trying to play too far to the right, and then didn't jump in quick enough, and probably didn't believe or feel like that big left to right boomerang was in play. And it doesn't take much. Difference between winning and missing the cut is not that much out here.
I want to thank everyone for joining us week 1 of the PWBA Tour on Extra Frame. Certainly one of 14. You can look for us weekly. Again, Sonoma County next week, then off to Fountain Valley, California. And then to the first major of the season as the USBC Queens. That will be in Reno at the National Bowling Stadium. So we'll be back in the state of Nevada. But on the northern portion, in just a little under a month, about 3 weeks. This would be a pretty good, a good swing as a player. I guess as any other player, staff, whatever. But to kind of hang out on the West Coast. You know, so if you were to say, all right, I'm going to pick one swing, but I'm not going to go home. This would be a pretty solid one, too. To start with, Las Vegas, then the NorCal, down to SoCal, and back over to Northern Nevada. Looks like the weather might cooperate across the country. But snow was a bother for a good portion of April, which was odd. It was like 95 plus for the first 2 or 3 days we were here this week in Vegas.
Yeah, it was. I had to do some shopping a couple times and came out of the bowling center with my jacket on and my pullover, and I said, well, I don't need this. Realized it was summer already.
I suppose we'll take a little dip today in what would be considered normal springtime temperatures. The mid-70s. Looking forward to.
I'm sure the people that get to go outside today will enjoy it.
Oh, absolutely. That doesn't include us. You are correct. We're like shut in. It's like we have a shut in. I don't know if you've ever been to a shut in when you were a teen. But, you know, there'd be a group of youngsters, and it's either shut in at the mall or your church or something like that, and you just hang out there all night. But that's what we do. We get to the bowling center, and we may or may not see the sun.
We used to call them lock-in bashes.
That's it. Lock in.
Yeah.
Shut in.
The shut-in is someone who just never leaves the house, which is, you know, when I go home, that's me. I'm institutionalized because whenever I go do one of these events, I'm shut in, and then I go home and I go, well, I can't leave. Josie Barnes. It's a little too late, eh? Well, she could shoot 900 and get there.
It's certainly possible.
It's possible. Yeah, the number right now plus 354. So you'd have to think it's going to get above 400. So yeah, Josie would need 830. And Verity's still alive and kicking. If she shoots 290 here, she gets to 320. So I once counted out Danielle McEwen, and 6 games later, she was leading. And she's got the flat 10s. Bad case of them. Just kind of in between. That's the one thing, the one knock I would have on Danielle is that she's so good at repeating that she's, I think, willing to accept flat 10s, maybe more than she should. She doesn't take a lot of huge risks. And that would be one thing that I would like to see her do a little more often. I think she would win more if she did that. She might miss a few cuts. She never misses a cut. Mm-hmm. but she might miss a few cuts if she took that approach. But I think she'd win more. And this would be one of those moments where it's like, hey,
Right.
but she probably feels like, oh, I don't really need big games right now. I'm fine. I'm in striking distance. No reason to do something stupid and shoot myself out of it. But if you compare the approach to golf, are you going to be aggressive and try to make birdies, or are you just going to try to protect your lead? I don't know. Does protecting your lead work? It doesn't work in basketball and football. Seems like every time someone tries to protect their lead,
It definitely doesn't work in football. That's the worst thing people or teams do.
So let's see if she tries to make some kind of adjustment here. Same shot. That one went through the pins nice. Maybe she might have made a little hand position adjustment. Added some axis rotation. That one went through the pins a lot better. And she nodded to Mike Devaney, back watching, and they're on it.
A little to your point earlier of, Danielle generally has success on the fresh. And so, she can kind of turn over the lineup, if you will, and get to the top 12 on the fresh with less games. That might give her more of an opportunity at the start of that block. And then maybe, depending on obviously what's going on in game 4 or 5 of that block, but she theoretically would be in good position to make the set play.
Well, here's the thing, okay? You remember when we did the Journey to 900 and we had all the numbers, the profiles of the players?
Mm-hmm.
Danielle McEwen had the biggest range of axis rotation of all the players, men or women. So, I mean, she's got the most versatility, but she doesn't use it that often. And so, I mean, we're nitpicking a Michelangelo at this point. But, I mean, in my mind, she, from a physical game standpoint, is by far the best player on tour. Maybe Shannon O'Keefe gets close, but she's like a machine. In fact, in her Team USA profile that Rod Ross does, at playing the outside part of the lane, she's better than Earl.
She is better.
Better than a robot. And that's the thing that Earl does best out of everything. And she's better than him. So I don't think my my criticism here is unwarranted. She could be, the greatest ever. But I think what holds her back a little bit is just the willingness to take some of those risks in lane play and being comfortable with the things that she can do. And maybe it's, you have that range, but maybe you go from the A game to the B game to the C game, and maybe she feels like those changes are maybe like her R or Q game, and she's just not comfortable rolling them out in the middle of a competition. And she's so good at repeating. She can make things that shouldn't work maybe look like they're possibly going to work, or maybe actually work enough to keep her in contention. But I just think there's other options out there that she could be blowing fields away, like she did in Wichita when she basically had nothing to lose and she said, you know what, I'm just going to do this. And she just blew everybody away.
And to one earlier point in regards to, we were talking about 2 8-10s. Daria made a 2 4 8-10.
Okay, that's like making a 3 6 10.
Yeah. Yeah, speak for yourself.
Well, I remember the first time I saw that made on television was Mark Williams at the Tournament of Champions. And he threw a big giant hook at it. The problem with that spare is if you throw straight at it, you can make the 2-4-10, but you leave the 8-pin. But if you hook it at it, the ball actually hooks so much that it deflects off the 2-pin and it hits the 4-pin on the left side and then drives the 4-pin back into the 8 and takes it out. So I saw that and I was like, man, you can make that spare. I remember the first time that happened. But the problem is when you go for it that way, you bring 0 into play. Especially when they're tough or a short pattern and you miss a little in and the ball goes forever, hooks forever.
Could miss could miss 3 in both left and right.
Correct. But you see guys on the show make it all the time now. You see EJ tack it, make it like it's the 2-pin.
A lot of repetition. Must have been hanging out with you and Robert, destroying pins and whatnot.
Well, you know the thing, similar tangent. Belmo, we did some stats on Belmo at the World Series one year, and we thought, well, the reason he's better than everybody is because his carry percentage.
Yeah.
It seems like that would make sense, right?
Spare shoot.
It was his split making. And why is he so good at making splits? Because he shoots them more than anybody. He shoots more 2-10s and he shoots more 4-9s. And he makes them. He shoots more 3, 4, 6, 7s. One interesting stat about Belmo, talked about how many times I've made the 7-10. He's never made the 7-10. And it's interesting, and you'd think, well, he throws it hard, but it's about the spin on the ball. He puts, his rev rate's still pretty high, even on his spare shots, and it kills, it deadens the effect of bouncing the pin out. Whereas, you watch someone like Oscu, he just throws it flat, and the ball kind of explodes into the pin. Yeah, she definitely changed her axis rotation. It's a good move. I mean, that's the safe move. I mean, it works a lot of the times, but it's the safe move that you make when you're trying to stay in the same ball and you have to jump left with it. You change your axis rotation to try to get it through the front and make that sharp turn on the back. And that's all Danielle did there, was just change her axis rotation. And as we just mentioned, she's got the best range of axis rotation of any player on tour, men's or women's tour. So it's one of her things that she can do. But if that move didn't work, then it was a ball change. And I guarantee you, what's going to happen is she's going to throw on her fill ball a different ball to get a look at what her next ball might do. And if she goes to the next pair and flat 10s with that increased axis rotation, she's going to ball change.
We're going to find out a lot in the 10th frame because Verity Crawley can shoot 290 still.
Yeah, she's still alive. I'll keep her back in it.
It's out there, just to reiterate. And a reminder of the leaderboard after 21. Diana Zavjalova is leading at plus 564. Liz Johnson is second at plus 499. Shayna Ung is third at plus 491. Shannon O'Keefe has moved into the top 4. She is fourth at plus 460. Leanne Holsenberg is fifth at plus 435, threatening to shoot 290 again on lane 14. Aaron McCarthy is 6th at plus 409. Danielle McEwen is 7th at plus 399. Maria Jose Rodriguez is 8th at plus 395. Liz Culkin is 9th at plus 365. Joey Yo and Daphne Tan tied for 10th at plus 358. Daria Kovalova 12th at plus 354. Brianna Cote is 13th at plus 350. Kayla Bandy 14th at plus 344.
If Danielle strikes here and doesn't throw a different ball, and she doesn't, I would fall out of my chair. And she might still throw one anyway. She might throw this pin away and get a different look. Nope, she's not going to. That makes sense because you really can't see how the ball goes through the pins if you don't get to hit pins. I think she's fine with the move she made. I think it would work, but I don't know.
Yeah.
You wonder, maybe, I'm sure it went through her head a little bit. Like maybe I should throw a different ball on this shot in the 11th. I got my strike in the 10th. I'm not really throwing any pins away. It might have gone through her head, hey, maybe I should get a look at this other ball. But she probably felt like, yeah, I'm going to get greedy and try to strike one more time.
Right.
But it flat 10'd, which kind of validated the problem with that ball. You know it's coming. But, there's no urgency. There's no urgency to make the move. It's just...
It's good stuff, JT. No, it is.
Well, that's the... Every sport is every sport is a game of probabilities and a game of risks. And you've got to evaluate what that risk is. Ring 10 there for Verity. That's she needs these pins. But you've got to always constantly think about how much risk you want to take. And that's the game. And Danielle tends to err on the side of playing conservatively. And I personally erred on the side of taking risks. I liked taking risks. I felt like that was how you won. I wasn't there to make the cut. I was there to win, and I'm sure Danielle is too. And Danielle had a much better physical game than I did. Much better at making things work because she's so precise. But it's just an observation. It's not. I don't think it's a criticism of her at all. But I think she could win more if she took a little more risk.
Meanwhile, Diana Zavjalova at the front 11. We go for the second 300 game of.
You can see her there in the white shirt, that little speck on the left side of your screen. Not the best view ever, but you can see it. And she bowls the second 300 game of the PWBA Tour season. And is going to extend her lead.
Nicely done. So 300, 279. Verity finished with 268. Had a chance to shoot 290. Shayna Ung still has a chance to shoot 290. She got the first one in the 10th. Jason McEwen is officially off the hook.
Yeah, no black cloud. All right, game 23 of 24. And Liz Culkin starts with a strike, and she's right on the borderline of the cut, plus 358. And we'll soon have our 22 game update. We'll let you know exactly where Liz Culkin stands. 2 more games before we make our cut. Shannon Plahowski's made up a little ground, but I think her week will soon be over. But a good week for her, cashing. Not sure the left side just ever developed this week. We had 2 players, 2 lefties make it to the cut, so it wasn't a complete shutout, but it just never seemed like it developed like the right side did. And that, that happens every week. So, but whatever the lefties start with is usually what they're stuck with. And I think it feels like on the right they got better as the day went on. So there were more scores available as the day went on. And it never felt like the left side developed. And, obviously today it was probably even tougher because there were only 2 lefties in the field playing on that side. So pretty much every pair was fresh.
Zavjalova's going to be at plus 664.
Yeah, she just zoomed away.
Great song. She is getting closer. Still plenty of games left. But I think she'd be okay with being the #1 seed.
Well, did you say she just went 270, 300 her last 2?
266.
266, 300. Yeah, that's pretty good. Get to watch a little bit of Danielle. Still got that same ball. Looked like she went back to the right a little bit, and obviously ball didn't lay off.
That last game saw at least 5 scores of 260 or better.
Wow. Daria Payuk, 262 over. A little surprised that she's not whacking them as hard as Diana. I mean, Diana's just doing something nobody can do, but Daria can get left and hook it. But she's not as clean out of the release. She's got a much heavier roll off of her hand, and I think what's giving Diana that great look that she has is that clean release that gets the ball through the front part of the lane without seeing anything. It's kind of similar to what Pete Weber does on the PBA tour. has a ton of axis rotation, and he can get left of everybody, and his ball doesn't see all the traffic, and then he can get the ball to turn the corner and go through the pins, create a lot of entry angle. Whereas Daria, her roll is a lot heavier, and she has to do it with equipment, and she probably just hasn't had the right look with a piece of equipment to give her what Diana has. Yeah, I'd say the closest player in the field who can replicate what Diana's doing would be Leanne Hulsenberg. She made a living off of that for a long time, getting left of everybody and floating it through the front and creating room down lane.
What is that like for a player? And I'm asking you because you, again, been around high-level players and have bowled against high-level players. When you watch or see, or it could even have been yourself, because I think everyone at some point, hopefully, has experienced that at least one time where you have something that no one else does, or you can do something very unique, at least for the tournament span.
Well, it's an interesting mindset, and I'll take you back. I won't rely on my experience because, you know, it doesn't have as much credibility. You know, my best playing days were a long time ago. The game's changed a lot. But Mark Baker used to say that the players who win on tour are either stone cold shot makers or they're unique. And some players are both. Some players are unique and they're stone cold shot makers. Someone like Tommy Jones back in the early 2000s. He was doing things nobody else could do. Pete Weber has always been unique and a great shot maker. Walter Ray is unique and a great shot maker in a different way completely. But I think when a player who's unique, but they aren't the shot maker, they're not the great all-time great player, when they see something that they like and they have it, I mean, their eyes light up. And it's like, this is my week. I got to take advantage of this. And it's a great feeling. To go back to my own personal experience, I bowled against Robert Smith. So I knew from a talent standpoint, you weren't going to beat him. So you had to find something that he couldn't do in order to beat him on a given week. And when you were able to figure that out, it was a great feeling because then you knew you had a chance. And I don't think there aren't a lot of players out here that are that versatile that they can just try to find something that nobody else has. You know, maybe Kelly, Diana, and she's got it this week. But it is a great feeling to know that what you have and what your A game is going to work that week. And then it's just about turning off all the other things, letting your mind focus on what you're trying to do, take it one shot at a time, not get ahead of yourself, and execute.
That E word can be so tough sometimes.
Well, it is because, you see yourself, it's really hard not to think about the outcome at the end of the week. Diana right now, she's starting to open up the lead, and it's very easy to get ahead of yourself.
Correct.
And say, I've got this, and you can't do it. I mean, these players are just too good for you to take a game off and lose what your focus is, because especially now with the balls that we use and the lanes change so quickly, it can just so quickly go south if you let yourself turn the brain off for a little while. But on the other hand, you've got to do that in order to stay in the zone. Diana's in a zone right now, and it's like, you know what? You got to get as many pins as you can, especially in this format.
Yep.
Where there's no help, there's no bonus pins, there's no weird gimmicks.
Yeah, gotta keep pushing.
Yeah.
left to right. Just scanning. Kayla Bandy with her front four. Summer Jasmine with her front four. LJ with 3 in a row. Let's take a look at scoreboard update after 22 games, including DZ 300s. Perfect game. Plus 664, as we mentioned. Still leading, of course. Shayna Ung moving up to second after her 289 game. Plus 580. Liz Johnson is third at plus 544. Back in fourth is Leanne Holsenberg at plus 514 on strength of her 279 game. Shannon O'Keefe moves to fifth at plus 493. Erin McCarthy is sixth at plus 443. Maria Jose Rodriguez is seventh at plus 431. Danielle McEwen is eighth at plus 416. While still a tie in the top 12, Joey Yo and Daria Kovalova tied for ninth at plus 396. But Kovalova now has moved up 4 spots. Kayla Bandy now into the top 12 at plus 389. After shooting 245, and Brianna Cote is 12th at plus 376. And still many players within striking distance. Daphne Tan at plus 359, Liz Culkin at plus 358, Bernice Lim at plus 340, Yenny Wegner at plus 329, Kelly Kulik at plus 316, Verity Crawley still with a shot at plus 298, Summer Jasmine at plus 297. We can keep going.
Yeah, I mean it could get interesting because you've got scores out there, right? I mean we just saw a 300 game.
Well, that's available.
It's there, and there's a tightly bunched leaderboard, so you could have some exciting things happen these last 2 games. I personally, I enjoy watching this type of scoring pace. It's what I like because scores are available, so you can move, but they're challenging, and I like watching bowling no matter what, right? But U.S. Women's Open, you get 250 pins back, you're done. There's no coming back from it, right? But here, you can do it. You could shoot 800 on this for the last 3 games. It's doable. It's kind of like, if to use a golf analogy, which I know bowlers hate. This type of tournament is like the Masters golf tournament.
Okay.
It's a difficult, demanding course, but you can make birdies and eagles. And it's exciting to watch. It's the most exciting tournament of the year to watch because a guy could be 5 or 6 back, and he could make 2 eagles and 3 birdies on the back 9 and come from behind and win. And you know all the holes. You know how they're going to play them. And it's fun to watch. It makes it fun to watch. I personally like watching this type of scoring pace because of that. I don't like watching the super high scoring pace because that goes in the other direction. You can shoot 270 and not make up ground, right? Because everybody else ahead of you is going to shoot 270. But this, the scoring pace is 220. If I shoot 270, I can make up ground. It's fun to watch. It's exciting.
Front 6 for Summer Jasmine on lane 8. Brief delay on 25. That was being tended to. Payuk, front 6. And in front of us here looking for 7 in a row.
I'll tell you, this could be a repeat of Detroit, right? I mean, she was out of the cut going into the last game, shoots 300, gets on a roll, makes a big run, wins the tournament.
I'm trying to remember. She shot 300 in the last game of qualifying.
Yeah.
Qualifying.
Yeah. Right.
To get in the to the top 32, and then boom, you are correct.
So I mean, she shoots 300 here. What'd you say the number was?
376.
She's 15 pins from the number. Just got consulted on a pin count question. Apparently on one of our featured pairs that we're not on right now, there was a question as to whether a pin fell or not. Unfortunately, we weren't able to verify, but in that case, if nobody sees what happens, then whatever the machine scores ends up being the score standing. So
Paiuk lane 24. And for 8 in a row. Ooh.
oh wow, that was one of the greatest strikes I've ever seen.
Wow.
Wow.
That's like a it's early, but from a tournament perspective, that's like a tournament defining. That could be a tournament defining shot.
That was crazy.
That
ball had so much angle on it. It cuts past the 3-pin. She trips the 4, and the 4 takes the 3 out. For the front 8 to keep her alive in the tournament.
Unbelievable.
Wow. And I'm guessing she's going to have to make a move on that lane. Unless she might have gotten a little soft on that one. That's unfortunate. Maria, lane 25, turns on in the middle of her approach, and wasn't able to pull it back. Well, get a little bit of excitement here.
It's happening.
In the penultimate game of this round. Daria Paiuk trying to sneak into the top 12. She's currently 109 pins out of the cut, but can pick up 100 with 4 more strikes. Well, I wonder if she felt like that last one, she needed to make a preemptive move. last one goes high, and I think she probably felt like I might need to creep a little bit left here, and catches a little bit more oil, and ball doesn't make it around the corner.
I mean, in that situation, I'm sure most would certainly consider. Obviously, if they thought they threw it good, even if it was a touch in, you probably still make some sort of, potential move, as Summer Jasmine was trying to do the same thing. And leaves a 9 count in the 9th frame. And Summer is 35 pins ahead of Daria Pyatt.
That's going to make it awfully tough for Daria. Best she can shoot now, 266. That would put her at plus 328. And that's going to put her a good 70 pins behind the cut. Well, Daria leaves a 10 pin, and best she can shoot now, 256 this game, and she's going to need probably 280 or better the last game to have a chance. Had an opportunity there with the front 8 to possibly give herself a chance to make the cut, and I believe she made a move on that lane in the 9th frame, and I think it was the right thing to do, but just probably didn't anticipate the volume. There's a lot of volume out there. 29 mil.
29.
Yeah, that's a lot of volume. And so when you're making moves and move into a fresh part of the lane, and she's further left than pretty much everybody except for probably Diana, you're going to touch some fresh oil, and the ball's going to skid.
Good shot to end. 250, 255 on the board for Daria. Summer Jasmine is in the 270s. She sits at plus 297.
Yeah, she'll have a chance that last game. Brianna Cote bowling a nice game here. It's going to be in the 240s if she can double in the 10th and make this spare. And that'll give her some breathing room going into the last game. Liz Culkin is going to have a stressful big 10th frame coming up for her. She can double here to get in the 2 teens, and that would probably put her just outside the cut line with 1 to go. Move over to Maria, trying to clean up the bucket here in the 10th. Still has a possible 222. And chops it. And there's another just frustrating open frame in the 10th. Shoots 214. And you know, the reason that's so frustrating for pros is they feel like we should have the pair figured out.
Yep.
By the 10th frame, you should have it figured out. And you should have a good handle on transition. That's a big, big break there for Liz Culkin with the Brooklyn. But you feel like you should have, even if there is some transition, you should be able to feel like you're ahead of it. And you want to finish those games off, especially if you're on strings of strikes. So it's going to be 2-0, probably 5. With the spare here for Liz Culkin. Brianna Cote, nice shot there.
Big shot. Liz Johnson gets to 279. This game, she steps up in the 10th. Leanne Holsenberg going to be in the 240s. And Liz looks like she'll remain in front of Leanne Holsenberg. And 7-pin for Liz.
Well, the other thing too there is, if Liz had struck out there, she would have picked up some pins on Diana Z, but Diana Z can still shoot 247 now, so she may only pick up 10 pins. And Diana Z is going to shoot 800 for her last 3. .236 for Brianna Cote, and that puts her safely in the cut line with 1 to go. Let's get a little shot, bonus coverage here of Liz and Diana Z. 258 for Liz Johnson. Diana Z split. Looks like a blower 710, but she'll be in the 230s. And oh, she didn't shoot 800. She didn't go for the count, so she shot 799 for her last 3. We should have went down and told her we need this spare for 800.
Which games was it?
The last 3 games. 266, 300, 233.
But it is in succession for.
I don't know.
Actually,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it counts.
Right.
I mean, it counts towards her score.
Of course.
In this tournament. But no, it wouldn't. It's games 1 through 3, 4 through 6, and that was 5 through 7. So. It's not an official. I'm pretty sure she has an 800 ring.
Yeah,
now.
I think so. I think she's got several 800s in her career. Summer Jasmine did shoot 279, so she gets to plus 376. Pardon me on that. So Cote at plus 412, Culkin at plus 363. Jasmine at plus 376. Zavjalova at plus 697. Liz Johnson at plus 602. Missed Leanne Holsenberg's total, but I believe it was in the 540s. Man. Kayla Bandy shot 259. And she is quietly at plus 458. All right, Leanne Holsenberg was plus 560. We got those totals up. Shannon O'Keefe at plus 529. One game to go before we cut to the top 12. Appreciate everyone joining us today. Watching the final game, the round of 32. Jason Thomas. My name is Emil Williams Jr., Jason McEwen. Big thanks to our tournament staff, to Neil Milligan, Director of Operations, Kathy Kavicki, Nicole Osborne, Rich Payne, Kathy Wadka. On site this week, big thanks to the South Point Bowling Plaza staff and crew. Like Monyak, Aji, Brandon. Aji Lemos, Angie Bonifacio, and Brandon Love. The crew here. And of course, along with Mike Monyak. Two Hall of Famers on 23 and 24. 3 PWBA champions. Of course, including Sherry Tan. Liz Johnson, and Leanne Holsenberg finish out the round of 32 on 23 and 24. See Tina Williams, Shayna Ung, and Diana Zavjalova. Good opening shot there from Sheena Ung. Almost had a pin stand up on that strike. She stands at plus 571. And when we walked in here this morning, she was the leader. And since then, it has been Diana Zavjalova, but still lurking. Liz Johnson at plus 602. Leanne Holstenberg at plus 560. And one name that I mentioned as JT was off the headset, and as I scan and I don't see her name currently. When I find it, there it is. Kayla Bandy quietly getting to plus 458. Shot 259 in game 23.
She's going to stick around for some more extended play. It's just amazing what Liz Johnson's capable of doing. We talked about the unique versus shot maker. Obviously, she falls into both categories. But she very much reminds me of Walter Ray. Walter Ray was able to play where other people weren't able to play and make it work. And it's one thing just to make it work in terms of not embarrassing yourself, but it's another thing when somebody has something that nobody else has all week, and we're talking about Diana here, and is running away and hiding, and Liz is able to keep up with her playing a part of the lane where nobody else is having success, and staying within striking distance. It's just unbelievable talent. And the other thing that's amazing about Liz is how she's able to neutralize the advantages that the technology has created for power players. I mean, she won a tournament against the men in the off season. She's a 43-year-old woman, and she's not one of the known for being a power player against the women. She's middle of the pack among the women.
She'll be 44 next week.
And yet she's able to go out there against, these young 25-year-olds. And, you follow social media and you hear, well, the game's stupid now. It's just all power, and it's impossible to compete if you're a shot maker or a straight player. And you've got this 43-year-old woman going out and beating them all, the best in the world. Hey, I thought it was impossible to compete unless you were a young player with a 550 rev rate. Well, I guess not. But it's just really amazing how she can play her game, and she's got all these 100 different ways to play her game and be competitive. And as you mentioned earlier, I can't remember if it was today or yesterday. It's all kind of blending together at this point. But you mentioned how she took a lot of pride in winning those titles last year, playing 4th, 5th arrow. Against players who are known for that being their A game.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday a little bit. It was something that we wrote, or I wrote in the story for the program this year, but something she mentioned. And, very proud of that fact. And then, almost in a sense, it's 2018 kind of shutting down the haters, if you will.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. It's cool that she took pride in it, and that she's out. She doesn't let you know that she's affected by it,
right?
But and she doesn't really need any more additional motivation. But she's paying attention to it, and she likes shutting the doubters up. Well, Diana Z's last shot just took off. So let's see if she has to make a move. Just massive early hook. That one gets through the front nice and clean and sends 10 straight back. And you mentioned Kayla Bandy getting to plus 458, and she's got the front 6 this game, so she's trying to get herself in position for the top 4 for the final 6 games coming up at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And both Leanne and Diana Z seeing some early hook down here on 21 and 22 and 23 and 24. And Liz, who's 2 arrows right of them, seems to be doing just fine. Not seeing early hook.
Let's take a look at the final score update prior to the round of 32 completing. Again, Zavjalova at plus 697 in the lead. Liz Johnson plus 602 in second. Shayna Ung now to third at plus 571. Leanne Holsenberg fourth at plus 560. Shannon O'Keefe is fifth at plus 529. Erin McCarthy is sixth at plus 459. Kayla Bandy mentioned shooting 259 to get to plus 448. That puts her at seventh. She's got the front 7 right now. We'll keep an eye on that. Maria Jose Rodriguez is 8th at plus 445. Joey Yo is 9th at plus 429. Danielle McEwen is 10th at plus 414. Daria Kovalova and Brianna Cote still a tie. In some spots in the top 12. But they're tied for the final spot at plus 412. Daphne Tan is 13th at plus 397. Yenny Wegner 14th at plus 386. Summer Jasmine shot 279. They get to plus 376 and 15th. Kayla Bandy's run is over in frame 8. It looks like she leaves something makeable there. Yep.
Just a routine spare conversion. Must be nice to be so good that this is just a video game for you.
Bandy back on it in the 9th. But as we look at folks out of the cut line, Daphne Tan. Well, let's see. Daphne on a 3-bagger on 15 and 16. She can make it interesting.
Yeah. Wow, that got back from a long way. Wow. Well, she went high on that lane the last 2 shots, and you remember we saw Daria make a move left and 210. And the difference, I think, is Diana's throwing a weaker ball. Daria was throwing a stronger ball. So when Diana got the ball right, it still had enough energy on it to get back around the corner. Whereas Daria, the stronger ball, burned up and didn't have enough oomph to get around the corner, and she 210'd. And that's the difference between being 697 over and 320 over. Looks like Liz is starting to see some early hook.
Keep doubling. If we get near the 10th frame, Yenny Wegner could make it interesting. She's at plus 386 on a 3-bagger, about to step up in the 10th.
Just get a little bonus coverage of that. Oh, man.
Wow.
Bad break. That might cost her making the finals.
Shot there from Leanne.
Yeah, definitely some transition going on these two pairs. Players having to make quite a few moves to get dialed in. There's a look at the venue. We're on the high end of the center. Just using one side here with the 32 players left in the field.
.212 for it. You need to finish things out. Yeah, the 10th frame, first shot, 7-pin. Did not help.
Yeah, I'd have to say that's not going to be enough. 398 over.
Daphne Tan spared in the 9th. Boy,
And she's already got more than that, than 398. Still got a possible 248, which would definitely get her in.
Daria Kovalova trying to cement her spot, and she's done that actually. She'll be in the 260s at the least with this next shot. And a Z.
Fun to watch.
Another good one in the 9th.
Liz makes a ball change. 105 ways to play up 10. Wow, I'm not going to move. Just going to make a ball change. I still have half a board right and a half a board left. That's all I need. Shannon O'Keefe with a big double there in the 10th. So she's going to be either in the top 4 or within striking distance with 6 to go. 223 for Shannon O'Keefe, and that gets her to plus 552. And depending on what Leanne Holsenberg does here, she could actually go around Leanne. And that's a nice shot there. She's got the pair figured out. After starting off with 2 opens in the first 5 frames, she can still bail out 2 team. And is he going with a big hook? Big wheel.
I can tell you've been away from the mic, for a little while. Just bringing it all out.
It's fun to watch bowling. It's fun, I get to do all the Hall of Fame interviews for USBC, and that's a really awesome experience. But it gives you some really interesting insights into the way the greatest minds in the sport think. And Jerry Edwards, who got into the Hall of Fame this year, had something really interesting to say, which was it's such a privilege to get to be around greatness. And she was talking about the players that she got to work with. Obviously, she's great herself at what she does, and she's too humble to say that, but it's true. But it really is a pleasure to be around this. I mean, these are the greatest in the world at what they do. And it's so fun to get to watch them make history day after day. I mean, you hear it make history overused, but that's really what's happening out here. I mean,
daily, weekly.
10 years from now, we'll be sitting doing a qualifying round, and we'll say, hey, you remember when Diana Z ran over the field that week and was doing something nobody else could do? I mean, that's what's cool about this. It's history. Shayna quietly bowling a nice big game here, with everybody else kind of struggling a bit. At least the players ahead of her. She's going to make up a little ground. Six more games coming up at 1 p.m. We've got a short break, and we will resume our coverage around 12, and we'll find out who will make it to the first stepladder finals of the 2018 PWBA season. Should be exciting. Great leaderboard. And that's a good spot for that after the first strike in the 10th. See if Leanne can finish off this bailout of a game. I think if you'd told her in frame 6 that she'd pull 204 out of this game, she would have taken it and gladly gone back to the locker room and put her stuff away. So Leanne, the legend, is going to try to add to her career title haul later this afternoon. Liz, man, it's just the other thing that's so great about Liz is she makes an adjustment there. Can you look at the scoreboard and tell me which frame the adjustment was made in? I mean, she just doesn't miss a beat.
She went major adjustment. I mean, we talked about the ball change.
Yeah.
Dialed in. Knows everything about everything she needs to know in regards to her own game, her equipment, what the lanes are doing, what she should do.
Well, the other thing too is, if you're Diana Z, you might think, wow, look, Liz is shooting a bad game here. If I can shoot a big game, I can put her away. And then, she goes and makes this adjustment, goes to the back 5, and she loses ground to Liz. All right, that's Tennille Milligan, and you can check the scores on PWBA.com. We'll get that update to you as soon as we can. We're going to sign off so we can get reset for the round of 12. It's going to take place. Practice is going to start 10 minutes before 1 p.m. local time, so we'll be back on the air for that. So be sure to stick around, tune back into Extra Frame. Bowl TV on Extra Frame continues from the PWBA Las Vegas Open. This is Jason Thomas and Emil Williams Jr. We'll have more coverage for you coming up in just under an hour.